Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissick and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissick.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Dana, before we get started, what's new with you? I don't feel like we've talked in a while.
I don't feel like we have either. Last week was probably one of the busiest weeks I've had ever. It was slammed. I was in Kentucky all week and in Ohio. And I said, I think I slept like 10 hours the whole week. But it was just nuts. One thing that we haven't talked about that we have to touch on real fast is our obsession with the home edit.
Yeah, I was just telling Becky, we're so excited because we have Becky as our guest today, and she's going to give us an opportunity to help her with a question that she submitted into us. And I was just telling her I had decided that I was going, binge watching the home edit. I was going to pull all my clothes out of my closet, and because I'm getting it redone and I wanted him to be able to see it very well. Boy, have I learned so much about myself. I've got a problem, serious shopping problem.
I'm right there with you. I told the team on the region this morning, I said, I feel like we should all make this like video and send it into them to get them to come to your house. I feel like they would be like, yes, let's do it.
I'm glad I'd have to edit it before they edit it. It's pretty crazy. I told Becky, I said, I look at some of these clothes and goes, what was I thinking? I mean, seriously, what was I thinking?
But then can you part with it, or do you still want to hold on to it?
For some reason, I'm wanting to hang by outfits only, which I can't find a single YouTube video on that everybody hangs in their closet. I want as few decisions as possible when I walk in that closet. So I want to hang the outfits by outfit. Yeah. And all over YouTube, nobody does that. So I'm going to be the first crazy person that does that. So no, for that reason, I've kind of settled in on a style. I'm purging.
I love it. Well, yeah, I'm like, how many clear containers can we, and now, they're like sold out everywhere because everybody's trying to do it.
Sure. Well, Becky, we're so excited to have you today. Why don't you kind of give our audience a little bit of background about you were born and then you got to real estate, and fill us in Cliff Note version, how all that happened.
Well, okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to get coached by you. You were two of my very, very favorite mentors. I didn't start real estate till I was 50. I was born in Texas and went to graduate school, worked at Intel as a training person. I worked in the training department, instructional designer for 7 years, became a Christian during that time, and felt the call to go on a short-term mission trip, which was supposed to just be a few weeks, turned into 9 years.
Wow.
I spent 9 years on the mission field in Kiev, Ukraine. So I'm fluent in Russian, or at least conversational at this point. In 2002, I moved back to America, met my husband just a couple of weeks after I moved back, got married in 2003. In 2004, we moved to Indiana. And I just worked part-time at church, was the housewife, cooked, cleaned, had a great life, just kind of leading Bible studies and enjoying life. We decided to go on a church plant down in Franklin, Indiana, which is just a suburb of Indy. And I kept telling my realtor as we were looking for houses, I'm like, oh my goodness, this just seems like so much fun. I think this would be great. And she's like, well, you should do it. I had no idea what I was doing, but she walked me through getting my license, and I started selling real estate in 2012, I think I got my license 2012, 2013, sold 32 homes my first year. My goal was 6 homes. I wanted vacation money.
Wow.
So I've sold more homes every year since then. I joined Keller Williams about 2.5 years ago, which was life-changing. My production went through the roof. I think within the first 8 months, my production increased about 70%, and it's just gone through the roof since then. Just learning everything that I've learned from coming to Keller Williams has been fantastic.
I remember when you came.
I want to ask a question about that because you said you had a goal of 6. So what do you think it was that made you have a goal of 6 but do 35? Is it because you just get after it? Is it because you're highly responsible and when people have a need, you go fill it? What do you think that was? Because, you know, to have a goal of 6 and to do 35, that's a big difference. You didn't know something about yourself.
Yeah, I did 32, not 35, not that it matters that much. I'm a go-getter. Like, I don't usually do anything halfway. If I do it, I want to do it well. And I think being a little bit older, that kind of gave me some instant credibility. I knew a lot of people. I used to raise support as a missionary. It was very easy for me to talk to people. I had a huge sphere of people that I knew. And I think, and I went to a church that was fairly large, and that's where most of my business came from. I can't really say exactly why, but people tend to trust me. I think they did know my character. I'm going to treat them right. I'm going to do the right thing. I'm very responsible. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. So I think just that was most of it. I'm not really sure, to be honest with you.
Love it. Well, and tell them how many you're on target to do right now. You and I talked about.
Yeah, if everything closes that is pending and already sold, I think I'm at 85 by about October 15th. Wow. So my goal was 60. I've changed my goal to now 100.
Awesome. Good for you. You've learned. Go ahead and get that goal changed because you're going to go past it anyway.
That's right.
Are most of those still sphere of influence and people you know and repeat?
A lot of them are. I believe 23 of them are like internet leads, or we do the Facebook ads, things like that. So I haven't looked at the numbers lately, but about 23 of the 80 are from not my sphere.
Are they majority buyers or sellers? Or
No, I work primarily with sellers. I think there's about 20 buyers, and those were just sellers who either built or I happened to be able to find them a home the first trip out. I don't really work with buyers. I'm on a team. And so I usually turn the buying end over to a buyer agent on the team.
Awesome.
If you count those, it's more than 85.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow, that is crazy.
So I love you submitted a question, and I thought it was a great question, and I wanted you to kind of share that with the audience because I feel, we all have some limiting beliefs that might be holding us back. And so would you kind of share the question that you had that you submitted to us?
Yeah, I have been listening to your series on health and wealth, and I'm almost 60. So just tell you, see my gray hair. You can't see I have gray hair. It's pretty gray hair, but it's still gray. Yeah, I'll be 60 in April, and I've always been real afraid of buying investment property because I hear horror stories of, tenants will tear it up. My husband's even more afraid than I am. So that's a trial. Well, coming to Keller Williams 2 years ago, I started hearing about that's really how one way to build wealth and passive income. So people who you've had on the show have talked about, well, you buy it in 20, 30 years, it's paid off, you don't have a mortgage, so you have passive income in your retirement years. And I just wondered if it is too late. I may be around in 30 years, I may not. What is it too late, or do I just kind of go with I've got a fairly comfortable retirement plan set up, but it's not passive income. It's just from putting money into whatever they do, Edward Jones, I don't even know, stocks and annuities and things.
We're going to have a guest on that in I think next week. So I don't know either, but I just know I do the same thing. I know Linda does too. So hopefully he'll be able to tell us. But yes. I want to say really fast, Linda, I loved your response to Becky's email. I laughed out loud when I saw it because Linda's response was, people are going to live to act as if you're going to live to be 120.
Well, I loved it. Yeah. And I was going to try to dig up what I did respond. So I'm glad you have that there.
Oh, I think I have it. Yep. Yeah, I have it right here because I was reading it and hold on, let me pull it back up. And because I just thought it was so good and I was laughing because I thought only Linda would say 120. I never even think that. I'm like, gosh, I need to think about being older, living longer. Okay, do you want me to read it?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, okay, here was Linda's response. Well, Becky, I'm 60 and we bought 2 last week. And I hear you. If I'm not careful, the crazy talk creeps into my head. We all have limiting beliefs and have to battle to fight them back. What if you live a very healthy life till you're 90 or 120? They will have the ability to make that happen very soon. So one, let's start making all your life plans as if 120 was the age, and then start designing your quarter to accomplish amazing goals by the time you're 120. We'd love to talk more about this with you. Jim and I are starting one on investing soon, so we can talk about that. So I just thought that was such a great initial response.
Yeah, I'm glad you had that, because I answer quickly because I want the first things that come back on my mind. I can never wait till the show, but then I always have a plan. I'm going to get it back out, because I think your first response is always your best. But I think a couple of points I really wanted to make there, Becky, is you're not alone. I mean, honestly, if I had to say what's one demon I battle all the time, it's that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all walk around and think that we're the only ones with limiting beliefs. But, I had different limiting beliefs when I was 30, and I have different limiting beliefs now that I'm 60. But I just know that we gotta say, well, what if I did? What kind of situations am I going to be in? And I think if we just go to the end and just say all things coming out the way they should and everything being great, and I'm living healthy and I can live this long, what are some cool things I could do if I prepared as if I was going to live that long, right? Otherwise, we have to think through what would that give us, or what could happen. You could actually not have enough money from whatever A.G. Edwards or whoever's doing. We could all be in that shape, So I think we have to take every precaution, and you have the opportunity, because you're with Keller Williams, you could do profit share,
I do.
wait 20 years. But you also don't have to on the real estate investing side. You could, I hear people say all the time that they take their cash and put them in things and their return is as good or better. Plus they have the opportunity that it could be in a massively appreciating asset. So I think you have to say, well, at the end of the, even 10 or 15 years, what I want my life to look like. Because I truly believe, I'm one of those that I believe we're going to live way longer. So I think we should focus on how do I live that as healthy as I possibly can, and how do I live that as wealthy as I possibly can. So I would never say you succumb to saying, well, it's too late for that. I don't think you say it's too late for anything. But I'm also going to tell you it's a constant battle you'll have, because how many of us, Dana, won't understand this, but you get to a certain age, you start going, okay, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, how many years what if I lived 15? What if I lived another 20? And I just think it's not a fun way to do it, because I think it puts limitations on what you're willing to take risk and do. And here's the thing, there's so much fun in the journey of learning and doing it, that I think that's actually where the real joy comes in. Who you become along the way as you're trying to achieve those things is actually better or as good as the money, right? And then the money becomes a byproduct, and the good things that you can do with it. There's so many things. I don't know, do you have, are your parents still alive, or?
No, my parents have both passed.
Okay, same thing with your husband?
Yeah, correct. Both of his have passed as well.
So you wouldn't have those kind of issues, but there's always something that comes up, or a need, or just a charity or something, sound like you're passionate about missionary work. So how much more could you do if you just set your life up as if you were going to live that long, and said, if I don't, this is the missionary group that's going to get it, or, this is the church planning that's going to get it, or even give along the way. So I loved that question, because I think a lot of people think it, but I also think we would be better served if we just said, hey, look, I'm going to design my life as if I was going to live to here. And if I don't, I just don't. You ain't going to care anyway, right? You're not going to even know it.
The other thing I was thinking too, and actually I thought your question was great, Becky. And also I felt that way at 37, because I have tons of friends who started buying rental property when they were in their 20s. I mean, a lot. Like one guy that I'm very close to, he's got 80 something doors and he's not even 35 yet. And I've talked to Linda about this before, because every time Linda and Jim teach a class, I'm like, I've invested in these market centers and never in any doors. But, when you were asking that question, I was thinking too, now is still such a good time, especially because my first thought went to, let's say that you did a 15-year, and Linda's going to know way more about this than me,
Yeah.
I mean, you can get, actually tonight, I'm writing an offer on a commercial building, and the loan we got is crazy because we're doing a 15-year. Half of it is an SBA loan that's fixed at like a crazy low rate. I don't remember what it was, but it was crazy. I have to look it up. And then the other half from the bank, and with 10% down or 20%, no, 10% down on this one. But in 15 years, I mean, taking advantage of those low rates in 15 years, that'll go by before you know it. And then you'd have stuff paid off. And Linda and Jim, you all talked before about the difference as you get older and not doing 30-year mortgages anymore, but in trying to do 15 or 20 years and then being able to have them paid off earlier. But right now we're at such an opportune time. And I actually said to my banker, I feel like now we could be over, we're paying high because the market's so high. And she said, look at your cash on cash return. Like, that's the number that you need to worry about, is your cash on cash. And the rates are so low, and doing a 15-year and your cash on cash being 14 to 20%, which is what ours is going to be, is crazy. And she's like, Dana, that's a perfect time. Just, focus on that, not as much so that I felt like that could be a little bit of it too, is maybe instead of looking at obviously 30 years, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to be 90 but being able to do.
Yeah, but 75 is, I mean,
yeah,
that's a blink of an eye. And if you do things correctly on the health side, you could be extremely healthy at that age and do some really fun, cool things with it. So, that's interesting that you do that, Dana, at 30 something. I mean, good Lord.
Seriously.
I know.
But we all have them. I mean, that's true. We honestly do. Because I've told you, Linda, before, oh my gosh, I feel like such a loser that I don't have all these doors like everybody else has. Because one time, do you remember, Linda, I think after y'all taught a class, I called you, or we were doing a Zoom or something, I don't know, and I said, do you think this is terrible? And Linda's like, well, you've gone the market center path, which some people don't have that opportunity. So instead, they've gone into doors, where I was comparing, of course, and my limiting beliefs were, okay, you're a slacker because you have no doors. But I just feel like we all do it. We all have something that we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think the main thing is to play. And I hate to say it this way because it always feels like I'm driving people with fear, but it's reality. I'm not going to call it fear. I'm going to call it reality. But let's just say, for example, the A.G. Edwards man, he screws up. And, I'm always, because we had a gradually and suddenly happen in our life, I'm always thinking of what's the suddenly that could change my world overnight. So stock markets crash, or whatever. So I always like a couple of backup plans that I can do and have in the works, just because I've lived through some suddenlies, and I've seen what happened when I was blindsided by it and never even dreamed that, all that would go to heck in a handbasket right in front of my eyes. So that's why I think also, if you think about your life in 15 years and you don't do this and you don't do anything, what are your options and what does it look like then? And then if you say, well, what if I try a couple of things and I have a couple of backup plans, just because who knows how you're going to feel, if you're going to feel like working that hard or doing that, or, there's just a different feeling that goes along with working because you want to instead of working because you have to. And I tell you, and I say this all the time, go to your local grocery store and see who's working there these days. It's not your young people. It's the older generation that did not either prepare. Maybe they're bored. Maybe they're all bored. I don't know. But I think they're working because they have to. Because
that's true.
What happened, in the last suddenly that we weren't prepared for.
The other thing too, and Linda, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, is maybe that just means that you have to set like quicker, faster, higher goals around it too. Because Adam and I have been really getting on, like, getting it together when it comes to this stuff. And so we've set a goal that we want to buy 10 doors a year for the next 5 years, so that we'll have 50 in the next 5 years. And we are making sacrifices. We are not going on 4 vacations a year. We aren't, where Adam just traded in his Escalade and got a cheaper truck. And I'm like, you go on ahead and trade your car. I'm going to keep mine. Hey,
a girl's got limitations.
That's exactly right. I'm like, that sounds like a great idea.
We must have at least one Escalade in the
That's
family.
right. That's exactly right. But no, that's right. But no, but I told him, I'm like, if we're serious about this, then we're going to have higher goals, and 10 a year for us is a big goal. And so I'm like, but if we want to get to 50 in 5 years, then that's what it's going to take. And so now every night, that's what we do, is look at stuff. And we're trying to decide what sacrifices that we're making. But it's on a time frame wise, like what your original question was, maybe setting bigger goals like that and saying, okay, over the next 5 years, we want to have 10 or 20 or however many it is, and then just finding the deal.
Well, and I think because you have that money in the stock market, I think that gives you kind of a little bit of a false security. So you just going to look at this as a kind of a plan B, and, or profit shares plan B, and the rentals are plan C. You know what I'm saying? So you could just kind of say they're plan B and plan C, just in case anything ever happened in the stock market or where your money is now. So when we kind of say these things, what kind of bubbles up with you, Becky? What are your thoughts?
I think it's brilliant, and I appreciate the mind expansion, because I really was thinking, I think it's too late to get started, but it's really not, especially with the 15-year loan. I think that's very, very doable and makes sense. I did not know, Dana, what cash on cash meant. You mentioned something about, I don't know if everybody knows what that is. I don't.
I'm looking that up right now. So Adam has a friend who actually, Linda, he would be awesome for us to have on the podcast. His name is Sam. He's in his 30s. He owns martial arts karate studios in Charlotte, North Carolina, but he does door rentals. So he started investing in doors, well, in single families, but now he's switched over to door rentals, meaning, and I didn't even know this was a thing, honestly. And it's
the house has 3 bedrooms, so he rents out all 3 bedrooms.
Yes, and they have communal space. And they each have a shelf in the fridge with their name on it. And they each have a cabinet with their name on it. And these are like successful entrepreneur business people who are either there because, actually, I found this really interesting. One of the things we heard at Mega Camp reminded me of this, but so many people that are renting because they can't afford to buy where they work. And so they're commuting like hours a day because of the prices. And so this door rental, room rental is what he calls it, has like taken off. It's nuts. And so he gave us somebody gave Adam this cash on cash formula. We went over it with my banker, and she's like, yeah, that's spot on. I'm going to try to find it on my phone right now while we're talking to share.
Actually, what it means is if you pay cash for something, you find out what your cash on cash return is. So in other words, the money that you're going to have coming back in is going to give you a return on the cash you've spent. So it could be if you paid cash, or it could be the amount of cash that you put in as a down payment.
That's right. That's what she said. Yeah. And so like she told us the average is like less than, like if you get 10%, like you're doing good. And he's doing these room rentals, and he's getting like 27, 32, 33.
Him on the podcast because I want to learn.
Oh, Linda, he is such a cool guy too. And he and his wife are doing this right now. But okay.
Or something. What area is he in that's making that so successful?
He's in Charlotte, but they have expanded. They have some in Asheville, North Carolina. They have some in Charlotte. They have some somewhere else. I don't know. But he has like this whole, I actually have it recorded. He did a Zoom with Adam and I so that we could learn about it, and we recorded it. But we'll have to have him on because it's really a great thing. But I did just now find this. So we're gonna lock at a 20-year at 4% on that SBA loan on a commercial purchase price of $600,000, 20% down, and I mean the payment is crazy low. And then when we turn around and look at what the rental will come into, the cash on cash was like 34%. Like I told Adam, I'm like, are we missing something?
Are they rented right now, Dana, or not?
It's already rented.
The cash flow coming in, you're at a 34%.
Yep. Yes, it's already rented. Yeah.
That's really good. Would you recommend maybe going in with somebody to kind of dip your toe in the water, or do you think it's just go ahead and go for it?
Well, here's the thing. You can do whatever makes you feel more comfortable. Whatever's going to get you to move faster on it. And I happen to know who you're a team member of. and he's pretty darn good at this. So I would probably go to him and say, hey, I want to do this. Will you do one with me so that I can feel more comfortable? He would be a great person to do it with. And you know, if you feel, I did my first 3 with partners because we didn't have the cash and we didn't have the credit at the time because we had just sold a business for 600 less than what we owed against it, 600,000 less than what we'd owed against it. So we had to do a partner for the first 3, but I think I also felt more comfortable doing it with a partner. So how depends on you. We didn't do partners a lot later because if I'm a partner with you, I'm like you, Becky, I'm super responsible. So I'll lay awake at night and worry the fact that I'm risking your money more than I'm going to lay awake and worry about risking mine. So ask yourself those kind of questions too, to decide, do you feel better doing it with somebody or not doing it with somebody? And the other thing too is rates are really good right now. And some indicators say there's going to be more people in distress situations that you could step into that gap and get them out of those houses before they lose them.
Yeah.
Would you recommend buying local at first, or does it matter?
Always local. It's easier. Do what's easier because if you start having to travel or you don't have a contact, I mean, right around your area is the most convenient and easy. And that's what we do first. We only do vacation rentals out of our area. Now, don't get me wrong. If I've got a good partner, which I just thought of this the other day, Jimmy said to me, I said, hey, what do I need to do? I want a plane. I want a plane.
Yes,
so,
I'm all for that. Yes.
Yeah, we can go somewhere when we want to. So I said, what do I need to do? And he said, okay, if we paid off the house, $500,000 if we paid off the house. So you give me a number and my little brain goes to work. So I got to thinking, what are my opportunities? And we just did a flip with my nephew, and we're doing several with Brad. And I thought, I could probably find 25 people that I know and trust across the country. If I did 25 people or 50 people, I could make this happen. I mean, so my brain starts working like that. So I started thinking, why am I only doing this flip thing with 2 people? What if I did it with whatever number I need to work backwards to figure that out? Then I could just pay off the house and then I could just get my jet. There we go. Off we go.
I've had a really stressful day, and I just want you to know that just made it a little bit better.
Well, Dana, I listen to your podcast all the time, but you were talking about your Airbnbs. So actually my team leader and broker, we actually did go in half and half on an Airbnb. I thought, oh great, we're going to do this. And then we did such a good job of it. He's like, let's just throw it on the market for sale at an outrageous number and see if we get it. Well, we did. So we sold it right before COVID hit. And I'm so grateful because we made $30,000 in 4 months. It was pretty awesome.
Becky, that's amazing. I did the same thing, same exact thing. Just put it on at a crazy high price to see and sold it. And actually, that's why today I'm making an offer on that commercial building, because today's my last day. Of course, I wait till the last day for my 1031 exchange.
Here's the thing, though. Think about it like this. You could do some flips to get all the money that you need to go into a hold, but you cannot forget about holding, because that's future money, right? But you could do some flips to come up with the cash so you don't feel that you're risking like your savings or your stocks or anything that's already your security blanket. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but with 85 closing already this year, we're good.
Yeah. Of course. And so I think it would be fun, Becky. I think you're going to do everything all out. I don't think you're going to do anything halfway. And I think what you're going to love is you're going to love who you become along the way, learning how to do this and doing this. And there's so many great things you can do with it. You can teach other people how to do it. You can, find people in your life you want to do it with, that wouldn't do it on their own. I've got, we've done it with Press's little friend, Nick, who he feels fine doing it on his own. He just did Wealth Building Wednesday, but he didn't have all the money. And so we did it with him. We did it with my nephew in Lubbock. So to answer your question about any place else, the only way I would do it someplace else if I really had a good relationship and trusted the person in the other location that I was doing it with.
Do you have a property manager, or do you manage them? I assume you don't manage them all yourself.
We've done it all. What I like best is getting enough that you can have your assistant or somebody that's a license, that's already handling your details, that they can manage it, but we're at a place now where we have one single person, and that's her full-time job, is managing all the properties. But in the beginning, if I had to start over, Becky, everybody needs an assistant in their life. I don't care who they are. Because you can do more if they do all those things that are $20 an hour or whatever. So I would probably put it as part of their job description.
I think that's a really great idea. Yeah. I'm lucky that my best friend is a property manager. So, so he does ours, but yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I think that's a good point, what Linda said too, about the flips, because I'm one of those people. Like, I like to have a certain number in my savings account, and I'm not going to go less than that, or I'll start to freak out. I'm also the person who needs like 24 rolls of toilet paper and paper towels all the time. Like, I'm just, so the flips were really what I felt like was the right thing for me, to get a bunch of cash up and then go be able to hold. Because Jimmy said, what did Jimmy say when you guys did that not too long ago, Linda? It's the difference between, and I felt so convicted when he said it. He said, oh, that's the difference between cash flowing and wealth building. And I was like, yeah, that's right.
Well, flipping is cash flow. It's no different than if you went and sold a house, no different. So the reason is if you took, let's say it was 30,000 or 60,000 or whatever y'all said y'all's were, if you took that money alone, you can't do enough with it to do anything. But when you put it into an appreciating asset, you have so much more momentum and options of what you could actually eventually, have and do from that. So that's what he means by that, because really, so you don't want to just flip. You want some section of your money going towards hold and future passive money coming in. Yeah. And again, you two can do profit share, and you can do investment properties also.
Right. Yeah. I was so excited when my profit share paid for our cruise next year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now if we can just get the cruise to happen, right? If that happen.
I know. Well, they give you a 48-hour, you can cancel up to 48 hours before. So we're like, okay, we'll do that. It's in February. We'll see.
Yeah, that's right. That's worth it. Yep, for sure. So what else? Any other questions that you have, Becky, that bubble up as we kind of talk you through this?
No, I think it's another challenge I have is my husband isn't quite on board. So I need his mind to expand a little bit too. He's actually very supportive of I have a bunch of crazy ideas, and he's always been very supportive. So I think I can get him on board, but I don't know if you have any tips on if you've got a person in your life who's maybe a little more conservative.
Yeah, I don't really have that person in my life, but I've coached a lot of people who did. And so a couple of things. One, you could do a couple of things. You could say, what would be if I make the money from these things, say from flips, what is their fear? Usually it's attached to their behavior. And so it might be a loss of security. So how could I do this? And then the other thing you could do is have them, really think through, if we don't do this, what are some of the things that could happen? Usually all of our stuff is driven by our fears, and everybody's fear is different. So his behavior is probably more of a correct or, security type person. And so that means what he's worried about is something happening to y'all's nest egg or to whatever. So you could say, well, look, how about if I do this? How about on any flips I do? Or how about if I get this much money put aside, then I get to have this much money to play with. It's real funny because one time Jimmy was going out and doing restaurants still. And I hate us doing restaurants because we have lost our rear end, and he's made a ton of money in the long past, but everything we were trying was, a $250,000 loss. And it was terrible during that time. So I remember complaining to Gary. Gary said, Linda, why don't you give Jimmy about $250,000 and not give him, because it's his money too, but you know what I mean? Say, you take this and then this is it. You either make it or break it with or whatever. Jimmy didn't like that idea because he heard it as I was just going to give him $250, and that's not true because it's his money too. But I get what he was meaning on the concept. Is you've got to set those lines that what makes this person feel good and what makes this person feel good. Because it's also just not as okay for you to give up on what you think you should be doing, just like he shouldn't be giving up on what he thinks. So how could you come up to it with a win-win? And then, do our freedom number worksheet with him, download that freedom number worksheet and have him work through it with you. And again, some people don't feel like they need as much, but I don't think anybody knows for sure what they're going to need. And that's the part that we need to wake up to. Know you for sure exactly what you're going to need. You don't know how long you're going to live. You don't know what life's going to give you. So I think you could argue that side just as much of we could be in danger this way also.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's excellent advice, and I really do appreciate it.
Take him to classes or have him read a book, because remember,
say that.
do what we tell them. They only do what they self-discover.
Yeah. And also maybe if he is a safe and secure type person, you start small. Start with a $100,000 property and, go from there. You don't have to go buy a $750,000 on your first one. Something
750 anyway.
Something that is small that maybe the amount that he's going to feel comfortable with. And like Adam is not that profile, but Adam wants to be included. So we have to say, okay, here's what our Dana's job is going to be, and here's what Adam's role is going to be in that, so that we know, like, we're very clear on who's going to do what, so that we're both included in the decision making and then in the process throughout.
Yeah. Otherwise, you two drivers will run over each other.
Exactly.
Yes.
No, thank you so much. I tell you, coming to Keller Williams really does expand. It just so expands your thinking. And I never thought I would be where I'm at now, which I consider very successful. And to think that I'm only here, and I could go way more than what I'm doing. It's exciting.
Well, and just know that that's where the becoming is, where the joy is. And when people stop before that, they don't even tap into that. They don't even get to tap into say, what could that be? I don't know. I guess I'm driven by one of my greatest fears, getting to the end and going, well, what if I could have? That probably drives me as much as, what the heck am I thinking? I'm 60. What am I doing? You know what I mean? But to me, the people that stop really are just about a number. And that's not a negative statement about anybody. It's just that's who they are. And I'm not that person. I want to see what all I can do and who I can become and how much I can grow and be stretched. And I want a little fear in my life at all times. That keeps us from dying, the fear in our life, as Dan Sullivan will say. So, you got to know yourself well enough to know that. And, I know lots of people who are married to opposites, and I've watched, like Mo Anderson is a perfect example of watching her life get so big that it gave Richard an amazing opportunity to do some things where his genius got to play in. Like, we got to go see a town that they were refurbishing. We got to see a strip center they had done, and it gave him more life. So part of what you could do with your husband is figure out, what would he do if he could, what could he do if there were no limitations? What would be some fun things?
Passion.
Yeah. And Richard even got like a farm and stuff, I think, and stuff that I just watched him come alive. And I think what a blessing that was, that Mo was so ambitious to go out there in her 50s and start all over and create a beautiful, and I'm sure he did a lot of it too. So I don't want to say Mo did it all and Richard didn't. I don't want to say that at all. But I saw the joy when there was plenty of money and he got to do some things that his genius was so good at. So those are the kind of things that we can't see, that you won't be able to figure out until you get there, until you start trusting and just do that.
That's a great example, Mo, because man, I forgot. Yes, she was in her 50s.
Yeah, I want to say she was 57, lost everything, and completely started over. Wow. And another person I think about is Pam, that we recruited, that opened an office. And, when I first met her, part of her fear was, am I too old to be doing this? And I'm like, you've lived your whole life to do this. How can you not do this? And I just watch her, be so happy and changing lives. And it's just the coolest thing ever. So I think we all have to be really, really careful. I think there is more risk if we don't do things than if we do them.
You know, the last thing I want to say really fast, just because it made me think about it, is too, I think when you're like that, it keeps you young. Like Linda, every time you say sick, like I still, and Becky, I feel the same. I just don't know you as well as Linda, but like when Linda says 60, I get like shook because I always think Linda's the same age as me because she.
Me too. I hope so. I wish.
But honestly, because she's like doing stuff all the time and she's in it and she doesn't miss a beat and she's like wanting to do more and always go and always do something. And it keeps you young. I pray that when I'm 60, I'm just that same exact way because it keeps you from getting, I don't want to say old, but stale or just like, you know what I mean? Not with it.
No, yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I for so long, my goal was, okay, I want to get to 65 and retire. Well, that's off the table now. I am doing the whole have fun, go on a cruise, go on vacation, work. I'm going to work till I die, but I'm going to have fun doing it.
Yeah. Well, you want to always be working, always be playing, and always be learning because it's a beautiful, beautiful life. So awesome. Well, we're about out of time. Dana, did you miss anything that we want to share with Becky that before we wrap up here that you think?
I don't think so. I think that you ended it on a good note. I mean, Becky, I think you're awesome. She's got into the leadership role. She's killed it. I mean, it's just like I always say bloom where you're planted. And I feel like you have done just that. And you just continue to keep doing that. So I think you're awesome. I'm glad you came on.
Thank you.
I love it. Yes. It reminded me, Becky, when I first met you, I thought, man, this girl has got it going on. And it just reminds me that is so accurate. And I'll be so happy when we can all get back together and play in person again.
Yes.
Me too. Well, thank you so much. This was life-changing.
Well, thank you. It's truly our pleasure. Remember, if you have a question, submit it to info@everything life and real estate or info@lindamckissick.com. And if you'd like to be a guest on our podcast and have Dana and I help you with a situation, opportunity, or maybe a challenge you're faced with, just submit your information to us. And remember, the more you tell us, the more we're going to be able to help you out. And if you find somebody that you know that you think would benefit from this episode, especially this one, I think we have lots of people who are held back by limiting beliefs, myself included. So be sure and pass this podcast along to anyone that you think might benefit from the topics that we talk about. And Becky, I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. And we will see you hopefully very soon. And Dana, I'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, Becky.
Thank you.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.